All right. Hey, Dr. Evans. So I am talking about chapter 3. And chapter 3 was actually very interesting to me, especially as an English teacher. Something that we were taught when I was in adolescent literature was about how we needed to diversify what we were reading. And it's a big deal to diversify the reading because you're not always going to have kids from the same culture and background that you are from. So for me, and as the education system is 97% white, most of the time I'm not going to have all white students, and I have to find a way to reach my Asian American, Mexican American, African, everything that you can think of students, to make sure that they are feeling like they are heard and that their stories do matter. And I really want to do this in my classroom, like through decorations, because that's literature, it's visual literature, and also through books and movies that I show. I want to show kids that, even if I do teach all white kids or majority white kids, I want to make sure that I am introducing them to those hard topics of racism and what those people went through with real literature. And it's kind of like what we talked about with that picture book about Ruby Bridges. I never realized that she was really just a little girl. She was a child that was being, called these really horrible things by these men. And that for me is super important. And it talks about a lot of books that are great to read in a classroom for these multicultural kind of things. But one of my favorite is Esperanza Rising. I read this book. My teacher read it to us when I was in 3rd grade. I love this book. Oh my gosh. It's a great story about a aristocratic Mexican girl who her father is killed by like this gang that, he's offended them. They don't like him anymore, so they kill him, and they have to like hide and sneak their way into America. And it's a really powerful book because it really helped me understand their struggle, that it was real, and that it really was something that they went through. And as a kid, I didn't realize how real that was, and how real her story and how similar it was to those that also went through that. I've also recently read a book called The Hate U Give about the African American community, especially in places like the ghetto and things like that, and what they go through and what it's like to be an African American or a white person who is friends with African Americans or people of other races when something like a police shooting happens or police brutality happens, especially against that race. There's a book called The Diary of a Part-Time Indian, which is a great book, and it talks about the Native American experience and about this kid who sees an extremely intelligent kid, and he's also a basketball star, and it talks about how his school on the reservation, was not good enough for him, so he is put in the white school. And then Long Way Down is also a really great book, and it's better probably for middle schoolers or maybe early high schoolers, more so the early high schoolers, because it is about a boy who literally watches his brother die, and how he's going through that and processing that, and he's thinking about doing the same thing, and how it's just a constant cycle in that book and in their community. So yeah. But I also liked how the Ways of Knowing, like the culturally responsive classroom, about rephrasing the way that you say things for certain kids, and even like knowing your students and what they're into, and kind of changing the way that you ask things or you say things to make it make more sense for them, especially like generational differences I've noticed even between my generation and the kids that are in middle school now is completely different. So making sure that I have the right kind of questions and everything lined up for them, and then also for the different cultures and how they react to those kind of things.